video for the channel. I've been working on this video for a long time and I've been really torn about posting this video, but after much deliberation, I've realized that this is a video that I feel I need to post because of what is near and dear to my heart, which is bearded dragons. Now, the title of this video might throw you off, but if anybody's seen my videos before, you guys know I have bearded dragons. I love bearded dragons. Please let me reiterate that so that I don't get hit up in the comments and people will understand why I made this video. I love bearded dragons. They are my passion. I have 8 bearded dragons, all different kind of morphs, all ages, and they live in my room. I live in my reptile room, so I wake up every morning with my bearded dragons. I go to sleep at night with my bearded dragons. Lights turning off when I go to bed. I eat, sleep, and breathe bearded dragons. There's nobody that I know that loves bearded dragons more than I do. Over half of my bearded dragons are rescues, and I started my reptile rescue here mainly because of bearded dragons and the ones I saw that were in bad situations and needed better care. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because I see bearded dragons constantly on Craigslist. Like I said, I have a number of rescues, and there are so many more that I wish I could rescue, but I just don't have the financial resources to do so. But I'm going to post some screenshots in the video of just my local Craigslist and how many bearded dragons are on there all the time. And usually the situation is somebody got a bearded dragon, and after whatever period of time, they either can't care for the bearded dragon, don't want to care for the bearded dragon, or have lost interest in the bearded dragon. So in this video, I'm going to try to highlight all the things that you have to be aware of and all the things you have to consider if you want to own a bearded dragon. And maybe this is not the best pet for you. Now, no matter what pet you decide to adopt, whether that's a dog, cat, turtle, hare, parakeet, whatever, I encourage anyone to get a pet, love it, bring something into your life that brings you joy and fulfillment and you can interact with, or even if it's just a display animal. But whatever pet you decide to get, you should want to make that animal thrive. You should want to give that animal the optimal conditions, whether that means lighting or food, vet care, handling, whatever that may be. And if you don't want to give whatever particular animal or species that is the best possible care, then don't get that animal. And even if it's a situation where you feel like it's a better situation the animal is in, that's something that only you can consider if that's right at that time. But if you're just going to get a pet, you're at the store, you're at the expo, and you see this lizard, or you see this animal, and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to get that. Please do your research. Please understand all the responsibilities that that animal entails. And if you are going to adopt an animal, not only should you consult local breeders before you go to the pet store, but consult your local Craigslist, iRept, OfferUp, anything, your local Facebook groups. Any way that you can find an animal that needs a new home without going to the big box stores and promoting the sale of the animals there that just promote big box breeders. So please, you guys, stay tuned to the video. If you're thinking about getting a bearded dragon, everything in this video are things that you need to know and consider before you get that animal. And if you can't handle all these responsibilities, and if you can't handle maintaining these parameters, if you're somebody that struggles to maintain the other responsibilities in your life, most likely getting a bearded dragon or getting an animal is not going to magically make you be responsible. So please consider all those things. And especially if you're going to get a bearded dragon for one of your children as a pet, you may be the one that ends up trying to fulfill these responsibilities when your child loses interest. So please, you guys, stay tuned to the video, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm going to be posting my website up in the corner like I usually do. I'm going to be putting my Instagram at the bottom. And please, you guys, smash that like button. Ring that notification bell. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Big shout out to Clint's Reptiles. He's a big inspiration for me and for this channel. So, hope you guys enjoy the video, and here we go. Okay, guys, here's another reason why perhaps you should not get a bearded dragon. If you want your bearded dragon to thrive, they don't just need one or two kinds of vegetables. They need a variety of vegetables. And I have 8 bearded dragons, so I can buy vegetables and I don't really have to worry about those vegetables going bad, because between my 8 bearded dragons, they'll eat a week's worth of vegetables, no problem. But if you have 1 or 2 bearded dragons, some vegetables that you're going to buy for your dragons, they're not going to eat fast enough for you to use them all before those vegetables rot and go bad. Now, you can break them down and freeze them to try to save this, but obviously you're going to have to be economical to try to save money, because you ultimately want to buy a variety of vegetables. You don't want to buy a bag of collard greens and feed your dragon collard greens every day for 3 or 4 weeks at a time and then buy them something different. If that's what you're going to do for your dragon, then please don't get a bearded dragon, because that's not what you should be doing to make your dragon thrive. And if you're not going to get a pet to try to make its life as great as possible and to make it thrive, then don't get a pet. And that goes for any pet: a bearded dragon, a dog, a cat, a parakeet, a turtle. Like, if you're not going to be willing to go to the grocery store and get different kinds of vegetables and spend the money on those vegetables, and then run the risk of some of those vegetables going bad, especially if they're vegetables that you don't like, then that's something that you're going to have to think about, and maybe a reason why you should not get a bearded dragon. Now, I'm going to provide links like I have on some of my other videos, at least up on the screen, the websites that you guys can get some incredible lists of vegetables that are really good for your bearded dragons, things they do and don't eat, and things that are toxic to them, and different varieties as far as how much of these vegetables and plant matter and fruits that they should eat and how often they should eat them. So this is some things that I have, like bok choy here. I have some dandelion greens. I have collard greens. I have carrots. I have yellow and orange peppers. I have cilantro. So that's just a few of the things that I feed my dragon. So like I said, you don't want to buy 1 or 2 vegetables and feed that to your dragon every day. You're going to want to provide a variety of vegetables. So that means multiple trips to the grocery store, things going bad, cutting up vegetables. Now, obviously, juveniles and hatchlings are not going to eat as much, and adults are going to eat more, but still, you're going to go through more vegetables than your dragons are going to eat, and you're going to have to make an effort to have a variety of these vegetables for your dragon if you want your dragon to thrive, which obviously you should. And if that's not a commitment you're going to make, you should not get a bearded dragon. Okay, guys, you'll have to kind of excuse the music because I'm inside PetSmart and this is the music they're playing on their store speakers. But, like, these are just some of the prices that you need to consider incurring if you are going to have a bearded dragon. Like this, you're going to want your lights to be on a timer. This is $10. You can sometimes get them cheaper online, but if you have multiple setups, $33. If you're going to have a light fixture hanger so that you can get your light closer to your dragon, because sometimes sitting it on top of the screen doesn't get it hot enough and you need to be able to lower the light down into the enclosure some. So if you have to purchase something like this, that's another $20. If you want to get one of these UVB lights, which is much better than the dome light because this will spread the light out throughout their whole enclosure, then you're looking between $50 up to $70 for one. And then the bulbs are not cheap. You're talking about $40, $30, $37. Right now they're running a special, buy one get one 50% off. But if you've got to buy one of these bulbs and a light fixture, you're talking about over $100 just for the UVB light for your dragon. If you go the cheaper route, you're still talking about a couple of $30, $40 for a couple of dome lights. And like I said, that's not going to distribute the UVB light, which that's what I have for some of my setups because that's all I can afford at the time. Hopefully I'll be upgrading all of my setups to the longer UVB lights over time. But then you've got to get basking bulbs. Basking bulbs are not cheap, depending on the wattage. And then if you buy a 150, you get home and it's too hot, obviously you can return it. But if you have to come back and buy multiple wattages so that you can get your temperatures right, then that is multiple trips back and forth to PetSmart or the store that you need to be willing to make, because you need to be willing to make the commitment to get that basking temperature right for your animal. So, you know, if you're not committed to making multiple trips to the store to purchase these things or maintain these things, then don't get a bearded dragon. If you cannot afford to buy bulbs like this every 6 months, don't get a bearded dragon. If you do not want to spend $40 or $50 on the light fixtures, upwards of $100 to make sure that they thrive, do not get a bearded dragon. Also, your bearded dragon is going to need a basking spot, something with a high and a flat spot. These trees, that's not the right price right there. These trees can run into the $30 and $40 for a tree that will get him up near his basking light to give him proper temperature, or something like this where he can hide and bask on. $35. I mean, obviously you can make these things and you can buy things that are more economical, but these fixtures and stuff for your dragons are not cheap. And that's something that you're going to need to have something similar, even if you make it yourself, for your dragon to bask on and to hide in if they want to hide. So those are all costs you need to consider, and if those are things you can't afford, then you probably should not get a bearded dragon. Now, enclosure prices, if you don't build your own enclosure, then you're looking for, you know, an adult bearded dragon needs at least a 40-gallon, and I do think that is a minimum size. And like an aquarium or a terrarium like this is going to run you $230, and that's just for the tank. That's not for any kind of substrate or tile floor or anything like that you may want to put in, and that's not counting obviously the light fixtures or anything else. This is a really awesome new one that Zoom Edge has out now, but again, this was about $240, $250. A juvenile dragon can go into something more like this, but you're obviously going to have to upgrade in the future, so then you're going to have to sell this tank, find another use for it, or that's the price you're going to incur twice when you buy the smaller tank and then have to upgrade to the larger tank, because an adult bearded dragon does not need to be kept in a 20-gallon tank. So if you're not willing to upgrade the tank or buy a big tank, spend the money on something nice or build something nice, then you should not get a bearded dragon. Okay guys, another thing you need to consider if you're going to get a bearded dragon, and this is my beautiful big girl Clarabelle, is that bearded dragons are messy. They are going to poop on a regular basis, if not every day like juveniles or hatchlings. If you have an adult, they're going to poop every 2 or 3 days, or at least once a week. And if you give them a bath once a week like you should, a lot of times the adults are going to poop in the bath water, and then you've got messy, poopy bath water. They're going to strow their vegetables all over their container, or their enclosure. They're going to strow their bugs and insects and little pieces of the worms when they eat them all over their enclosure. They're going to tank surf, and even if you clean the glass every couple of days like I do, they're going to get spots all over the glass. So you're going to want to have cleaners for your enclosure. So that's something else that you're going to have to spend money on, especially if you want something like, I recommend this product because it really gets rid of the odor of the feces. So I'm going to include a clip in the video and show you guys just how messy bearded dragon feces can be from one of my other videos, because adults, especially when they eat fruit or when you change their diet or when they eat a lot of things like hornworms that have a lot of gushy insides, these guys are going to have messy poop sometimes, and it's really smelly and can be really messy. So if you're not going to want to clean up bearded dragon diarrhea or bearded dragon poop or clean glass or clean up vegetables, then on a daily basis, if not every other day, but very regularly, then please don't get a bearded dragon, because this is stuff that you need to do every day for your animal to thrive, to have a nice enclosure and healthy, so they don't get bacteria, they don't develop diseases and illnesses. So that's maintenance that is going to be required regularly, and if that's something you have a problem with or you're not going to be able to do, please don't get a bearded dragon. Hopefully you will, and like me, I do this stuff on a daily basis and it never feels like work. If you love these guys like I do, it won't feel like work, but you need to consider all that before you get a bearded dragon. Also, gauges. You're going to want to have multiple gauges in your enclosures for your bearded dragon. Down on the cool side where they're hanging out, up in the high side near where they bask, and then you can buy thermometer guns, which are going to help you get your basking area right, which that's another expenditure you may have to have, but you're going to need humidity gauges. And to buy a humidity gauge like this gun that registers humidity, they're fairly expensive. But to have humidity gauges in your tank, that's another expense, and you need to have humidity gauges in your tank to make sure your dragon's humidity. You need temperature gauges to make sure the temperature's right. So those are all expenditures. Those are all things you need to have, and you need to have them in multiple places in your enclosure. Don't stick one humidity gauge up and call it a day. And if that's expenditures and efforts that you're not willing to make and maintain a daily monitoring of these gauges, then please, like a broken record, don't get a bearded dragon. Right, Clarabelle? I hear a lot about sinners. Don't think that I'll be a saint. I might go down to the river, but the way that the sky opens up when we touch, girl, it's making me say that the way you hold me, hold me, hold me, hold me, hold me, it feels so holy, 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 holy. Oh God, running to the altar like a track star. Can't wait another second, cause the way you hold me, hold me, hold me, hold me, hold me, feels so holy. And I don't do well with the drama. No, I can't stand it being fake. No, 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 no. Nah, I don't believe in Nirvana. Cause the way that we love in the night gave me life, baby. I can't explain that the way you hold me, hold me, hold me, hold me, hold me, it feels so holy, 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 holy. Oh God, running to the altar like a track star. Can't wait another second, cause the way you hold me, hold me, hold me, hold me, hold me, feels so holy. Now this, you guys, is my precious baby girl Ninja, and I can't stress enough how much you need to be willing to take your animal to the vet if you're going to get a bearded dragon, and how much I can stress how important it is that if you take in a bearded dragon or you adopt a bearded dragon and it develops issues, take it to the vet. And if you're not going to be willing to do that, don't get a bearded dragon. Now this is Ninja. When I adopted her, she had severe metabolic bone disease. Her tail began to develop tail rot and necrosis. I had no choice but to take her to the vet, and she had to have a tail amputation. Now you guys can see here in the video that she no longer has her tail. Now I know I'm probably going to get comments and say, oh my gosh, that looks so sad, that looks so terrible. This was what had to happen, or that necrosis was going to continue up her back, get into her organs, and eventually be fatal and kill her. So she had no choice but to have this done. It was the absolute best thing the vet could do in this situation. It is healed absolutely properly. I've consulted the vet many times. He's followed up on this. I've sent him multiple pictures every day. This is exactly how it should heal. This is how it heals in the wild. And eventually that will develop a scaling over top of it when she continues to shed. But she feels no pain back there, guys. As you can see, she's not jumping or jerking. And she is actually starting to develop a little more use of her back legs. She's moving around her tank a lot. But you guys have to realize that you may take in a dragon, and I know the previous owner of this dragon. He's a subscriber to this channel. I know he gave this dragon the proper vitamins. He gave this dragon the proper care, and it still developed metabolic bone disease for whatever reason. And so I decided to take this animal in, and I was able to take it to the vet. I was able to give it the proper care. But this particular dragon can also flip her over on her back. And just as a demonstration, you guys, I'm not going to let her stay this way, so don't get upset. But she can't flip back over. So I have to give this dragon constant care. She goes to work with me. I have a setup for her with a heat mat and a UVB light so that she stays warm. This dragon requires constant 14-hour, 13-hour a day care all the time when she is awake. I have to make sure that she can get to her food. She tries to hunt her food, but she gets tired, and sometimes her little front arms peter out on her, and I have to make sure the food is close to her. She has an antibiotic that she has to take every day because of her tail amputation to make sure that she doesn't get an infection. So that's something I have to administer to her every day. So these are all things that may happen to you, or you may encounter if you get a bearded dragon. And if you can't handle these situations, if you're not prepared for these situations, if you don't think you can handle seeing this happen to your dragon, you don't really have any other choices. You can't just let them loose in the wild. Just because there's Craigslist and other options, that doesn't mean you're going to find it a good home. If you decide all of a sudden you don't want your dragon and post it on Craigslist, it could go to somebody who's wanting to feed it to their snake, or feed it to their other big reptile that likes to eat live prey, or maybe preys on lizards, or maybe that's one of its natural foods. I know there are people that prey on internet, social media websites to find animals that people don't want to take care of anymore, that they can get for cheap prices, especially ones that have problems, because it's easy prey for their bigger, larger animals. So if you guys adopt a bearded dragon, you may encounter issues like this, and you have to be able to take care of them. Or if your child has the bearded dragon and it encounters these issues, can your child handle these issues? So please consider all this. And if you don't think you can handle that, don't get a bearded dragon. Right, Ninja? One of the things you need to consider when you get a bearded dragon is that it could develop health issues. No matter what you do as an owner or in your husbandry, that bearded dragon could develop a parasite from the food that it gets, from one of the feeders that you get, no matter how careful you are, from one of the vegetables or something that you give it in its salad. So if it comes in contact with another animal, that could also transmit a parasite or an illness. So unfortunately, Stevie Ray here, when I adopted him, I was told by his previous owner that he was completely blind, and that's the reason I took him in. He had very poor muscle tone. He was very underweight because he could not find his food. He would not move about his enclosure because he was, I assume, very scared. He couldn't see predators. He couldn't see what was around him. So he was very, very timid. Stayed in the corner of his enclosure, struggled to find food. So when I took Stevie Ray in, I began assist feeding Stevie Ray until I could get Stevie Ray to the vet. So vet bills are another thing that you need to consider if you're going to get a bearded dragon. And you also need to consider, is there an exotic vet in your area? Because a normal vet may tell you they can see your bearded dragon, but most of them do not have a specialty in exotic pets. And usually are going to tell you the same things that you can find on the internet or on the website. And they don't even know how to do a full exam or all the proper things they should look for in a bearded dragon or in a lizard or in another exotic pet. They have taken, if that's the right way to say it, a brief class or a brief session in vet school. But the exotic pet vets will have extensive knowledge about a lot of different breeds, especially the common animals like bearded dragons, and they will be much better suited to take care of your animal. So if you're going to get a bearded dragon, you need to make sure there's an exotic vet in your area, or one you're willing to drive to, or perhaps you should not get a bearded dragon. I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I'm going to keep saying that because there's so many reasons that you need to consider before you get a bearded dragon. Now, this was Stevie Ray's diagnosis when he went to the vets. I hope you guys can see that here, but down in this area, he had severe conjunctivitis. He had a lot of other issues because of a lack of vitamin A, and the Dr. Crawford advised him, and as you can see here at the top, this is Stevie Ray's vet diagnosis, and they check everything at the vet there, and which is always a good idea, and they've given him eye drops. And so not only now I don't have to assist feed Stevie Ray any longer, but I do have to administer these eye drops to his eyes every day. And he got a vitamin A shot because of his vitamin A deficiency, and now he's doing a lot better. And I do have a video about the 2 special needs dragons that I have adopted, but that's something you have to consider. Are you going to be able to afford vet bills, and do you have a vet in your area that knows what they're doing and can actually diagnose what's wrong with your animal properly? So I'm going to be showing you guys another dragon with other issues shortly here in the video. Now, I really can't stress enough how much bearded dragons really like and thrive on interaction, and it's almost a requirement for them to stay tamed down and docile. These animals are not naturally aggressive, but they're naturally defensive. If you come across a bearded dragon in the wild, it's going to flatten itself out, it's going to flare up, it's going to open its mouth, it's going to try to look as big as it can, and it's going to turn its beard black. It's not going to invite you to interact with it. Now, in captivity, we have kind of domesticated these animals, especially the captive bred ones, and they're very easy to tame down. They tolerate interaction much more than they, in my opinion, enjoy interaction. Although over time, I think some do grow to enjoy it. But initially, when they're juveniles, they tolerate interaction. They don't necessarily enjoy it. And a lot of juveniles, you'll find, will run away from you and do not like interaction. This particular Whitblitz bearded dragon I've named her Chaos. I have videos about her. She is mean as a hornet from straight out the egg, and I have to interact with her every day. And as you guys can probably see here, excuse the camera work, but as soon as my fingers and hands usually get close to her or want to pet her, usually her mouth is open. Now, she doesn't want to do it for the camera, but normally she's very, very skittish. See, there we go with the mouth open. Normally she's very, very skittish, and I've had her for 2 months now, and I interact with her every single day. There goes the mouth open. She's already starting to flatten out, and it requires daily interaction with her, and it's only been within the last week probably that she is allowing me to come inside of her tank here and rub her without her running away. See, she's flattening out some there. There goes the mouth. And this dragon is one I'm going to have to spend a lot of time with taming down. The problem is she has a sweet spot right here on top of her nose, and whenever you get it, she can't help it. She doesn't want to run away, and she closes her mouth, and she loves being rubbed on the top of her nose. She's such a little sweetheart when she wants to be, and she's such a cutie. But you see her defensive posture, and look at that. So that's something that, if you get a bearded dragon, some of them do have aggression, and you're going to have to spend time taming it down, or else you're going to have a bearded dragon that just stays in its tank all the time, never likes to be handled. You can't take it out, you can't interact with it, and then it's not going to be a fun pet for you. If that's the kind of bearded dragon you want, then definitely you should not get a bearded dragon. But if you don't want to spend the time and interact with your bearded dragon on a daily basis, then you're going to have issues. And even my most tame bearded dragons, if I don't interact with them on a regular basis, then they can revert back to that attitude and that aggression. So if you're not going to want to spend time with your dragon, at least at a very, very minimum every other day. But if you have a bearded dragon, they require daily care. You can't go on vacation for a week unless you got somebody to come and take care of your bearded dragon. You can't leave it at home and dump a big bunch of dried crickets in his bowl and hope for the best. You're probably going to come back with a dead dragon. I mean, dragons can last a long time, but if something happens with their lights, they choke on something, one of the animals or insects starts to eat on them. Crickets and other insects and feeders left in a tank, they're omnivorous. They can actually feed on your dragon's toes and its tail and feet and fingers while they're sleeping. So, you know, dragons are not an animal that you can leave for long periods of time and go on vacation unless you have someone to come by and care for them. So that's something else you should consider. Along with the daily interaction, it's going to limit your ability to travel for long periods of time. So please consider all of those things, and if you can't live with that, don't get a bearded dragon. Right, Chaos? Okay, you guys, this is Will, once again, the Dragon Whisperer, and I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. Got Ramses and Clarabelle here chilling with me, and I hope you guys have considered all the things that I said in the video and all the responsibilities and the things that it entails having a bearded dragon. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I love bearded dragons. I live, eat, and breathe bearded dragons. I wish that everybody in the world had a bearded dragon, but I wish everybody in the world took care of their bearded dragon the way their bearded dragon should be taken care of, and really consider all the responsibilities that it entails being a bearded dragon owner. So this is the Dragon Whisperer signing off here from the Dragon Keep. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please smash that like button. Please subscribe. Hit the notification bell. If you guys have any questions or comments, I usually respond really quick, and I love answering questions from the people who look at my channel. So don't forget to hit me up on Instagram. And if you guys are considering adding a crested gecko or a gargoyle gecko to your collection, please hit me up on my website. I'll be putting that up here in the top corner. This is Will, the Dragon Whisperer, and I'm out.